Okay, I think we're live. Hi, everybody. My name is Michele, and I'm the owner of Vintage Revival Design Co. And I just want to welcome you here for another weekly live. We're going to be making a fall banner tonight. I have to confess, I'm not as prepared as I usually try to be. So I know we're making a fall banner. I know what papers we're working with, but I don't know where it's going to go from there. So let me just make sure that I can see the comments if you hop on here. And if you do if you do pop on here, there you go. Please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Hi, Joanne Cotton. How are you? It's nice to see you here. We are live on Vintage Revival Design Co. and Royce's page. Thank you so much, Royce. And we are live on YouTube as well. Hi, Kara. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, I'm a little later than usual. I'm trying out a new time. We're going to see how this goes. Hi, Doris from North Carolina. It's so nice to see you here. Thank you. And so anyway, as we go along, ask your questions so that I can answer them live. It might take me a little bit to get back to the comments after the live, but I will. And I promise I will. So anyway, we are going to be working with the beautiful, I'm going to go ahead and turn my project on. Let me bring my project up and I'll make that visible for you. So we're going to be working with the beautiful Fall Botanical Blocks Decoupage paper by Roycycle Treasures. It is beautiful. I love that it could really be year round if needed. And let me know if my lighting needs to be adjusted. It looks like might be just a little bit dark here. So let me know. Hi, Carmen. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Shannon. So we're going to be working with that. We may be also working with the fall tartan paper. I don't know. I have like all the things pulled out, you guys. And because I know that we're making a banner, but I don't exactly know where this is going to go. I just have a general idea. So I wanted to make a thankful banner. And what I've done is I'm going to be working. I just went ahead and cut some mailbox boxes that you pick up at the post office. And so I had one that had arrived with product in it and I decided to reuse it. And so I've just cut some tags and I've given a white background to one side. And so I thought we would do the word thankful. I hope we're going to have time for that. I don't know, but we have THANKFUL. So I did prepare a little bit better than I thought I would. I've also gone ahead and taken the time to fussy cut some of the elements out that I want to use on my tags. We're going to be using stamps. We're going to be using ribbon and fabric and all the things. And so just bear with me because you're going to get to see how my mind works when it's just all over the place. I hope that's not going to scare you away, but we're just going to give it a go. Okay. So I do know that I'm going to make these are my tags. And so I'm going to start by decoupaging my elements on them. And I've gone ahead and just, as I said, I fussy cut some. And so we're just going to go ahead and decoupage these tags. I'm using my favorite decoupage medium is Weisel's 1 Hour Enamel, but you should use whatever decoupage medium you enjoy and that works for you. That is what is always most important. And so thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate that. You are one brave woman because I am not sure where this is going to go tonight, but we're going to give it a go. All right, so I'm going to start down here and I'm going to just put an even coat with my brush on here. And I hope I remembered my plastic wrap. But we're going to start by, I'm going to smooth this out. I didn't wet my paper before. I probably should have. I think I will on the next ones, but I didn't. If you, as we learned from Royce, if you can just spritz your paper with a little bit of water, it helps the stretching and reduces any wrinkles that you might get. So we'll do that on the next one and I can show you. I've got my water bottle over here. These little banners are so easy to make. They're fun. You can personalize them, make them for every holiday, every season. They're just beautiful. And I really enjoy making them because you can make them from recycled materials. You don't have to feel like you have to have wood tags, although those are beautiful, but you can make a tag out of a recycled cardboard box, and that's going to be amazing. So I love owls, and not just because I'm a Wise Owl Paint retailer, but just because I love them. And so I thought, but I also know that I'm going to be doing a little stamping on this. So I thought about maybe just using this part. So let's give this a try. Let's give this a little bit of a, just more of the script and just kind of break up the images a little bit, because we've got a long word. Thankful isn't just, 4 letters. I thought about just doing fall, but why? So we're going to go ahead and do this. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay this. I love postage marks. And so I'm going to lay that on there. This is such a small piece that I'm able to be a little more, a little less fussy, I would say, about where I'm decoupaging first. And so I'm just going to do all of these. So we're going to do these first. And I'm using my hands to do that. Once we sand back the paper, oh, but I'm not going to love that. I'm not going to love that his head is right there. So let me just kind of, oh gosh. And the 1 hour enamel dries so quickly. Keep your fingers crossed for me, guys, because I just made a mistake. I'm not sure I'll be able to get out of it. Okay, it looks like I'm going to be able to get out of it. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to have to reapply my medium here. So cardboard boxes are great. So look at your packaging in a different way. There are so many ways to recycle them. I'm sure you've seen a lot of creators use recycled packaging before. These little boxes are great. And I actually already had the tags. I'm wondering if I can use this paper. If I go up here, I think I can. I don't want the head of the owl to be on there. And now this one's going to be a little, I'm going to push it out with my hands, but I'm not really worried too much about the wrinkles. But you can see, I just didn't want the head of this owl to be cut off. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut him off. I'm going to want to save him for another project. I think he's absolutely beautiful. And so we've got that one. And just bear with me. We're just going to keep doing the same thing. I'm going to be stamping over these tags. And so I want to make sure that I'm, positioning my paper in a way that the elements won't be completely covered up, but that they show. So I don't know if this one is actually going to be the best option. Let me see if I can use that owl up here. I think I can. Let's go ahead and use him. And I will take a little bit of that paper and fussy cut. And we have, let's see, Shannon is here, and we have Kathy. Thank you so much for joining too. I don't think I saw you there. So the banners are super easy to make. They look great over a fireplace, or you can make these little tags and use them in a wreath, for packaging, maybe a hostess gift, anything. So you don't have to do a whole banner and string them together like we're going to do tonight. You can actually just do them in any way that you really choose. I'm going to kind of come off here just like this. Okay, so I'm just pressing this down with my hands. I'm going to lift up a little bit and smooth out. I've got to see if I can find my plastic wrap. I was all over the place. I do like that a little of this butterfly is here. I think that's really beautiful. And we'll go ahead and address the bottom of this tag with a little bit of the paper that's going to be sanded off just like this. I'm going to use a brush and some water and tear off some paper. And you're going to see a little bit of this here because it's going to overlap, but that's okay. I am okay with that. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in. Got a lot there. I'm going to fill in and just kind of do that. We're going to be distressing these a little bit anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. And then let's just take a little bit more from this side where the butterfly is not going to be. because it's super wet, if I were not doing a live and just allowing this to dry properly, I would let this little piece of paper dry a little bit more, and then I would go ahead and fill in down here. But we're doing live, and that's the magic of it. So we're just gonna do the little make do things. So I filled in and completely covered my tag like that. I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can see the comments a little bit better. Let's see what we've got. Hi, let's see what we've got. Wet the paper, yes. So I'm doing this, and Shannon's reminding me that I said I was going to wet the paper so that it would stretch better. Thank you, Shannon. And so I've got my little, where is my little water bottle? So I have a little water bottle, just as a tiny little bit. I'm going to lay this one down where I think I want it, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit. I am struggling a little bit with the fact that I have just a slight fan on. I don't know where it is, what the temperature is where you are, but it is over 90 degrees here today. And so it's super hot, and I had to go ahead and turn on the fan a little bit. Cheryl, hi. I'm so glad to see you here. I hope you're doing well. And let me go ahead and I'll push this down. So when you wet your paper, what happens when you just spritz it lightly, it helps to reduce any of the wrinkles because it stretches your paper a little bit. And so, oh my goodness, you're not late, Shy. We are just getting started, and that is the beauty of replay. So never apologize for being late. I so appreciate you being here and saying hello. I've got a little bit, I'm going to cover that. We'll do something with that. We'll see if the stamping takes care of it. So I'm going to lift my paper back a little bit from where I left my medium, and I'm going to work away from that crease where I've lifted my paper. Okay. And I'm just going to try to get an even coat on here, and then I'm going to push that down. So the spritzing of the paper really does work beautifully because it already allows your paper to stretch a little bit. So that is probably my favorite tip that I've learned recently from Royce. I love, love, love it. It makes such a big difference. We've got just a few more to go, 4 more to go. And don't you love these mushrooms? They're darling. So I want to, because again, I know I'm going to be stamping on these as well. I want to go ahead and position my mushrooms so that they're pretty prominent when I stamp over them, but they're going to be okay. So I'm actually going to kind of come up to the edge here and see how we do. I'm going to, again, spritz my paper just a little bit to help it stretch. And so a mini water bottle is a great tool. I actually found much smaller than this. This is the one that I received from in our package when we were at the Roy Cycled Retreat, and I use it practically every day. Definitely when I'm creating. So every day I use it, but I also found a much smaller version, but still super useful at the Dollar Tree. And it comes in a pack of 2. So if you don't have a little mini spritzer, you can go to the Dollar Tree and they have them available in a pack of 2. Give one to a friend, or, you know, just keep 2 on hand so that you've always got them. They are much smaller, but they work just as well. And I'm going to lift this up, and we're going to put that in place. Love, love, love that, right? And so we've just got the 3 more to do. I also thought the moths would be really fun. I'm really trying to mix up the visuals here. Hold on. I get going so fast that I forget. So let's go here. We're going to go, I'm going to go with these moths. I love, love, love them, but they are going to get covered up a little bit by my stamping. So I'm going to come off to the edge a little bit and see, because I don't want to cover up too much of it. I want them to be a little as straight as possible up and down. And so I'm going to go ahead and mist. The misting of the water will also help kind of put your paper in place as you're going. And so you just want to be gentle because it is wet, which means it's extra sensitive and can be torn. So you just want to be gentle. You'll see that I tore that one spot on the orange floral arrangement that I used. but we're going to fix that and it's going to be just fine. I've got a little something here and I want to pick that out. I'll sacrifice my hand for it. I don't want it to create a big wrinkle in there. So we're just going to do all of these tags. And again, this is cardboard boxes from packaging that I received in a package, and they're from the post office. It's a priority mailbox. So save your cardboard boxes if you're an Amazon shopper. If you, shop online at all or have access to cardboard boxes, you can make these tags out of them super, super easy. And it's recycling at its best, I think, right? There's no better way to recycle than just to create something beautiful with your packaging. So we're going to go ahead and smooth that out. Love that. I love that one. I think the moths are just beautiful. 2 more to go, and then we're going to sand these off and we're going to get on to the next step. And so I have got, let's see, I keep dipping in here before I actually missed my paper. So let's decide where we want this one. I want as many of those pretty yellow flowers to show through as possible. And I love the script. I love the vintage vibe of this. We're going to be making it into a fall project, but one of the things that I've really come to appreciate about the Fall Botanicals paper is that it is something that you really could use in other seasons. It's not just about fall. So I do love, love, love that. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth that down. It makes it super easy to smooth out. And then we're going to lift up from this side, do this one, and then we're going to have one more to do before we get on to the ceiling and the next step. Okay, so I'm going to lift back just to where I started to apply it. It's going to be more difficult because I misted this a little heavy. It's going to be a little more difficult to see where I applied the medium because the surface is a little wet from the water. So this one might be a little tricky, but we're just going to give it a go. I think I went about halfway up, and I'm going to smooth this out. And you can see it's really pretty wrinkle-free when you do this. It might wrinkle up just a little bit again when we go to apply the top coat, but really it does a good job of this. So the next one that I'm looking at all of the elements that I have, and I do have a bit of a break there. So I might try to make this one a little bit at the middle just to break things up. But I loved these birds. And so even though I have this fall bird here, I could use this one. I think I'd love to use this one. I'm just a little worried about not being able to get as much of him on there. Let's just give it a go. I don't know. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let's do this one because it's a little bit different in scale. We've got large and florals and some block elements. So let's go ahead and do this one. Then I'm going to go ahead and put him up here. Again, we're going to spritz him. It took me until the last tag to remember to spritz before I went into my medium. So just be patient with yourself. Oh, thank you, Shannon. I'm so glad. It's hard to choose because there are so many, but I just went ahead and went through, and I have lots of paper left for collage or different projects. And so that's one of the things I love about it. I wasn't sure if I was going to do Halloween tonight or if I was going to do fall, but I really wanted to use this paper. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to do that. So I'm glad you're enjoying it too. They do stay flat, yes, but if you do get wrinkle shy, it's normal. And I think the biggest thing is just to be patient and let them work themselves out, because when we're doing a live, and so these aren't going to be, they might wrinkle up a little bit again when we apply our top coat, and that's absolutely normal. But what you want to do is just be patient, trust the process, let them dry, and they're going to be good to go. So the next thing that we want to do is go ahead and sand back. I'm using a sanding block, and the most the best tip I can give when you're sanding is to don't go like this. Don't go back and forth, but you want to go in at least a 45 degree. But if you can go larger, you just want to go in a downward motion with this. And I know this is a lot of noise, but you want to go in a downward motion. I have learned that I prefer to seal my papers, the tops of my papers, after I have sanded, because otherwise I just have too much moisture on my paper, at least for me. I know other creators have success the other way around and don't experience my agita, but I have a lot of agita when I seal and then sand, unless they're completely dry. So we're going to go ahead and just sand these. You want to go in a downward motion, and that really helps to keep your paper from tearing. The other tip is to use eventually our sanding blocks, even if they start out as a 220 or an 80 or something like that, the grit is going to become less as the sanding block gets used. So if you're doing a large project, always use a fresh sanding block. I like to do that. Save them because sometimes you need a gentler grit, and so it's not going to go to waste. But for this one, I chose a new sanding block so that I would be able to do this pretty quickly and not have to go over my paper so many times that I was going to be at risk of tearing it. Do we have any questions? I hope I've said hello to everyone. And again, as we go along, ask your questions. It's so much easier to answer when we're live, and you get a response a lot faster that way. So I really appreciate that. Also, let me know if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube. I can kind of see, but sometimes it doesn't always show up on StreamYard. And I love that a little bit of these numbers are showing up on this side. We're going to do all the things to these tags. I'm going to go on this edge, even though I got super close to the edge. I want to just make sure, and if I've got a little bit there, so super cute, right? And so we're coming together with a really great fall theme. I think it's really beautiful. I'm definitely going to save that gorgeous bird for something else. I can see here that I didn't get my edges. So before you sand, this is a really good time to check your edges. The edges are always, it's because of the way that our brush moves. Typically when we're brushing on something, we just instinctively lift up a little bit as we're getting to the edge. And so that's why our edges can sometimes be a little challenging. So before you sand, like I've just added wet medium to this one. So I'm going to set that aside and we'll go on to a different one for right now. And I'll let that dry just a little bit. The 1 hour enamel dries really, really quickly. Let me know if you've used the Fall Botanical Blocks paper. I would love to know, and what you made with it. I've seen so many beautiful projects done with it. It's just a stunning paper, and it's one that I will reorder as long as it's available. I will reorder it throughout the year because, as I said, even though the colors are what we typically think of as fall, they go year round, especially the elements in the paper. So I will continue to reorder this one. Okay, and so we've got those moths. They're really beautiful. It'll make sense why I've gone off the edge a little bit, why they're all not completely centered as we go to the next part. Hi, Lucy. I am using my Decoupage medium is Wise Owl Paints 1 hour enamel. I love it because it dries and cures so quickly, but your favorite decoupage medium will work just as well on a project like this. No worries. I started really gravitating towards the 1 hour enamel because it works well with transfers, and it works well with decoupage, and it just was one medium but I do alternate between different things depending on what I am working on. Excuse me, one second. Excuse me. I have some water here, so one second. Okay, so let's get these done. I'll try to go a little faster. But I love how they just come together when you get all the edges sanded off, and they just look so crisp and clean and really beautiful. So we're going to do this one. Going to make sure my edges are good. It looks like I've got a little issue right here in this corner. And again, this is the time to figure it out. If you've got a spot that needs a little extra something. So we'll pick a different tag that has good. Do we have it? Oh, I've got an issue here too. And again, this is because when we're brushing, it is a natural movement to lift up at an edge. And so that's why it's so important to just understand that and work around it. Just always check your edges before you get to this point. They're a little harder to deal with, not impossible, but a little harder to deal with when you are, when you've already sanded. So the Decoupage medium, Jan, is available on my website at vintagerevivaldesignco.com. And that is Vintage Revival Design Co, C-O, and then .com. And Lucy, I think you asked that question too, and I hope I answered it. If I didn't, let me know. I just love it because it's good for so many things and because it cures really quickly. So again, we're kind of standing at an angle and in a downward motion. I'm not going back and forth with my paper. I'm going in one direction. If you've ever done your own nails, you know when you use an emery board and you go back and forth, that you're more likely to get, you know, splits or tears in your fingernails later, unless you go in one direction. And so it's the same thing with decoupage. Okay, so we're almost done. Let's see. I think this is the one that I fixed the edges on the last time. So let's go ahead and do him. And then we'll get back to that very last one. And then we're going to be on to the next step. Okay. I love this owl. I think he's just beautiful. He's very serious though, I think. Okay. Now, I will be covering the backs because that's just me. I like the backs of my projects to be finished too. It's not necessary. If you're just doing this for your own home and you are, you know, hanging it where the back's never going to be seen, don't let that stop you from doing something like this. We have one more, or two more, sorry. And let's go ahead and do this one. Let me know if the lighting is okay. I'm sorry that didn't answer it for me. No worries, Jan. The decoupage medium that I am using is Wise Owl's 1 Hour Enamel Clear Coat, and I'm using the matte. And that product is available on my website at Vintage Revival Design Co. C-O is what it is. Not company, but co.com. And I will be sure to post the link in the comments. I hope that helped. Hi, Marie. How are you? It's nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Okay, guys, we're getting there. We're going to ink these. I got some, I think I shared with you. Did I share the fabric that I was thinking of using for this too? Let me know. Did I share that at the beginning? I can't remember. And okay, last one. Let's do this one. And then we can see all the tags and we'll lay them out in the order that we think we want to go. You're very welcome, Jan. Thank you for letting me know that you needed clarification. I appreciate that. Okay. I will confess, I've been working on some Christmas ornaments, but it seems a little strange because we're not even at Thanksgiving yet, right? So it's hard. And we're in that place where we're like doing all of the things, right? So I am going to, yes, Jeanette, you can find at any decoupage medium at Hobby Lobby or an art supply store. Everybody has their favorite, and that's what you should use. I think it's no different than anything else. Everybody has their favorite paint. Everybody has their favorite decoupage medium. You should find the mediums that work for you and use those, because that's what will keep you crafting, right? And creating when you find the things that work for you. So now that these are sanded, I'm going to go ahead and seal each one of them. And we might see a few wrinkles, but in the end, this is going to just work itself out. And I'm looking, because I'm using a corrugated box, there are just a few little ridges here. And so I want to make sure that I've completely sealed this tag. So I'm turning it to the side because the wet medium will let me know where I've got it and where I'm missing it. Okay, so I'll set that aside, and probably by the time I'm done sealing these, we're going to be able to get on to the next step. So if you do get wrinkles at this step, just know that that's normal. And again, just trust the process and walk away, and those wrinkles are more than likely going to work themselves out. If they don't work themselves out, it could be that you creased the paper when you were laying it down, or it could be that you didn't have medium under your paper, that you missed a spot. So that could be part of it too. But you can also just add embellishing or anything like that, and the wrinkling won't be so bad. You can definitely use crackle on decoupage paper. I do that often, actually, and love it. I also stain my decoupage paper often to give it more of an antiqued look if I want to. And it also blends in any white edges that might be there when I've wet cut my paper. And so yes, you can crackle, you can do all the things with that. And hi, Jolene. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you saying hello. Hi, Allison. How are you? Allison, this is the Fall Botanical Blocks paper, and it is gorgeous. When we get to a point, I'll show you the whole sheet again. And so you can even see that it's kind of obvious at the bottom where I pieced that paper to make up the difference, where I was a little short because I didn't want to cover up the owl. But it's all going to add to it, and you're not even going to notice, and it's going to look like it was on purpose by the time we're done. Okay, so I'm doing that. I had really hoped to have these done before we went live, but it's just been, one of those days. So thank you for hanging in there with me. Okay, so do you seal the paper first? It depends. So if you are crackling your paper, I do not use the two-step crackle. I know there are some people that have a two-step crackle, and you can do that with it. The crackle that I use, that I love to use, is Cracked Patina by Amy Howard at Home. And I typically use it for paint. So I would typically be using I might be adding embellishments or paint. I might be doing more of a mixed media project. And then I would use my cracked patina over that to allow a base color to show through. Another option when you're working with decoupage is to use a stamp. IOD makes the Crackleure stamp. And so it gives you a crackle effect. If I have one, I'll show it to you. I think I've got one in my cart over here, and I'll show it to you, and we'll add some so I can show you the difference. I typically use the cracked patina or crackle with decoupage when I am doing more mixed media. So I'm layering color and doing that type of thing. But yes, you can do it. What crackle medium do you like to use, Marie, so that maybe I'm familiar with it and can help you a little bit more? Thank you, Molly. We're making a fall banner. Okay, let me make sure I've got all of these done. I do. So I'm going to put this in some water. This one is actually almost completely dry. So I've got my little heat tool. And so bear with me because I've got all kinds of things plugged in for tonight. I didn't know what we were going to need. And I'm going to go ahead and dry these up really quickly so that we can get on to the next step. And then we're going to lay them out. I want to lay them out in the design that I want them to show up. And that is going to help me determine where, which letter I'm going to stamp on which tag. So I've heard of a lot of people using the two-step pen art, and I have not used that, Marie. So I'm sorry I put you through that because I can't help you with that. But if there is a pen art retailer, basically I would reach out to the retailer that you purchased your pen art from and ask for their advice. It's not a product. I understand that it's very popular and used widely. You're the second person, I think, this week that's mentioned that to me, but I have not used the pen art product. So reach out to your retailer. They're the best to give you the best advice because they're familiar with the product. And the size of the tag, okay, I will be happy to get that for you. I am just going to go ahead and dry these up first so that we can get on to the next step. And then we're going to lay them out. You can help me decide where we're going to lay out the elements for this, okay? That's going to be really important because we're stamping on that. And so I don't want to misspell thankful. I don't want to stamp them and then be left with the, a wonky aesthetic. So I'm going to go ahead and lay them out first, and then that will determine did I seal this one, you guys? I'm not sure I sealed this one, or is it just that dry? Did I seal this one? Oh, all right. I'm going to just put a coat on real quick because it doesn't matter if I did two, but I'm not sure. I tried some Ranger crazing and not having luck. Any tips? Ranger is also, you'll see that I'm going to be using an archival ink tonight just for speed. But I'm so sorry. I am a Wise Owl Iron Orchid Designs and Roy Cycle Decoupage retailer. And I also have select products with Amy Howard. I like her enhancement products. And we're going to be using a couple of those today too. So I am so sorry, Molly. I'm not able to help you with that. But definitely, if you purchase a product from a retailer, reach out to that retailer. They definitely want you to be happy with your purchase, and they want you to know how to use it successfully. And so that is the reason that you want to establish a relationship with your retailer. It's super, super important. Thank you for understanding, Molly. You're very welcome, Marie. It's super important. No retailer wants you to buy a product and feel that you can't be successful with it. And sometimes all it is having a conversation, or, just having them help you understand and troubleshoot so that you can be successful. They carry it because they love it and they have experienced with it. And oh my gosh, Shannon, yes. So if you go to my YouTube channel, go to the Elysium. I used an Elysium transfer on on a toolbox, and I use several colors and the cracked patina. I use it often, but I think that is the video that gives the best instruction. So the YouTube channel is Vintage Revival Design Co. LLC on YouTube. And I use that, and it just gives beautiful results. It's a crackle that gives to me, not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay. But you're so welcome, Shannon. So go look. I'll stop talking about it. So let's go ahead and lay out our tags. So we have thankful is the word that we're spelling out. And I know that I kind of want this one in the middle already, just to give our eye kind of a little bit of a break. And when I'm laying out these, I'm thinking of a little bit of color balance. So like I've got a little yellow here. I've got some orange here. I have this, and I'm looking at large. So I'm looking at scale of my design, and I'm looking at how the colors flow together. That's just me. And it's just kind of how my brain works. And that's how it will start to look good or not to me. Like, for example, this is too similar for me. And so I'm going to want to break that up a little bit. So I think I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to try these, and I'm going to be thinking about scale and color. And so this is kind of too orange. So I don't know. That's a lot of that. Maybe I'll do these together here. We'll get the yellows in the middle, but I want a little bit of orange. Bear with me. And if you have any suggestions, I would love for you to weigh in. That would be amazing. So here I've got a larger scale element, and here this is slightly smaller. So I like that. And the colors work well together. Maybe they're too similar. I don't know. And then we could do I like a little bit of I don't know, you guys. This is a little harder than I thought it would be. So let's look at that. I love the elements that I chose, but I want to make sure that I get the design well, and I don't want these two florals together. So, so you like the owl to the far right. I like that too, Shannon. Thank you so much. Awesome. And let's think about where we want this one. So I'm thinking maybe here, and then I've got, so he's not going to be exactly in the middle. And so I'm thinking something like this. I think I kind of like that. I've got enough orange, but since I've got that big bird there, I think I might do this, or I could do this. I think we like that. Yes, good spot for the floral. Okay, thank you. And I do like him over here. So basically, this is going to be my THANKFUL. And so you want to kind of lay those out before you do that. And so what I've decided to do, I already am going to be using, I went ahead and chose, I just picked thank you, Molly. I appreciate that. So I went ahead and picked out, I'm using the Iron Orchid Designs typesetting stamp set. They have many fonts, and I will tell you that this is the one that I go to. As you can see, it's a hot mess in here. I'm not sure what that is and if it's going to go through, but this particular one is the one that I go to most often. And it happens to have the uppercase and the lowercase in it. So it's a 2-sheet set. But of all the font stamps that IOD has, this is the one that I use. And so I'm going to go ahead and risk going ahead and going in order. So I'm going to lay them on top. And this is just to keep my brain straight as we're doing this, okay? And how long have we? Oh my gosh, we've almost been here an hour. Royce, forgive me if I go over a little bit. All right, because we've got some stuff to do. So I am using a piece of a thin mount. You don't have to. You could use the plastic that the stamp is attached to. The important thing is, and we'll see if I have any trouble because I use these so often, is you want to make sure that the back of your stamp is clean and whatever you're attaching it to. And so what I do appreciate about the thin mounts is that it does have the grid and I can use that. Now I have to decide, do I want to use, I have 3 colors of ink here. I've got a vintage photo, which is kind of a rusty color, but I want to I'm going to choose between these, black and the ground espresso. And I think I'm going to use the ground espresso. And the reason, I don't know, am I going to use the ground espresso? This has a lot of black. And I kind of want those letters to stand out on their own. And we have some black, but it's also kind of just a really dark brown. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the dark espresso. I may regret it, but let's just go for it. Okay. And then, Lord, I hope I kept those in place. I think I did. Okay. Let's see if I did. So I like to turn my ink pad upside down. And I just want to make sure this particular stamp set has a little bit of distressing in the letters built in. And I'm going to kind of come, I want to kind of come in the middle. And yes, it is going to cover up some of my bird. And that's okay. I'm going to go as centered as I think I want. I'm going to lay this down in place and holding it with one hand, I'm going to use my fingers to press that ink in place and try not to shift. I did shift a little bit. Now we're going to make this pop even a little bit more. We're actually going to make this just pop, pop, pop. And so I know that takes the most time. It's terrible, right, Marie? It's awful. And so let's go ahead and get these stamped. They're sealed. We'll do the next one. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to let that ink dry. But you can see how it has distressing built into the lettering, which I think is really pretty. And we're going to go ahead and do that. And so you can see how it can be helpful too. I'm going to go ahead and line this up with this one. And then I'm going to measure these tags so that you guys can see. And I'll just do, I really shifted that one because I was trying to move that tag out of the way, but let's see how it goes. All right. So I'm holding it down with one, pushing down with the other, and then I'm going to lift up, and that's okay. So then I'll move that one aside and then we'll take this off. If you're using a permanent ink, one of the best ways that I found to clean them is to use a nail brush, those little soft nail brushes with the handle. And I have found that I can clean my stamps pretty well with hand sanitizer. So I use a little bit of hand sanitizer and a little bit of dish soap and a nail brush. And I don't know what it is about that stuff, but it seems to clean the stays on or archival ink from my stamps pretty well. So I just kind of want to line this up a little bit. And I'm going to try to remember, I'm going to push those together and kind of line them up. And this just helps me keep my letters in place. Okay. And so we're going to go like this, holding it down. And then with this one, I'm going to move this one out of the way, and then I'm going to lift straight up. Okay. So you've kind of got the hang of that, and we're almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one here. What we're going to do is use, Shannon, you're so familiar with this. I know you love it as much as I do, but we're going to be using a product called, it's by Judykins. It's dimensional adhesive. And that is going to, I could have embossed these. I thought about using an embossing powder, but it's just as easy for me to use the diamond glaze. And I really love that product. And what it's going to do is give a glass like effect, a raised glass like effect on the letters, and it's going to make them pop more off the page. And I think that gives a little dimension, just like embossing powder would. So embossing powder, and if the N is upside down, it's, oh well. I think it's going to be okay though. I think it is. We'll be able to tell. But you're right, and thanks. So we'll be okay. So I'm going to place this one. This is the K, so it's going to go like this. Now I'm going to be paying super close attention to if my letters are upside down. But yeah, actually it looks pretty good when you look at it like this. You're looking at the tags as I am. So you're not upside down. So anyway, so we're going to be using a dimensional adhesive. If you want to make your stamped elements pop, you can use Judikins. You can get it off of Amazon or at your Michael's craft store. You can also emboss them, or you could just cut out your letters and use dimensional like glue dots or something like that. That's an option. But there are many ways to do that. And I keep shifting because I'm trying to line up. So it's going to be, I've got a little bit of a smear here, but I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to be okay, right? We're just going to embrace any imperfections because that's just part of it. And so we're almost done with this part, and then we'll be good. And oh, I'm glad you're excited to see it, Shannon. Me too, because I was going in, I was thinking like, I knew I wanted to do a banner. I knew I wanted to use this paper. I actually will also confess that I tried to, I didn't really have the right ribbon to coordinate with this, which is why we're going to be using fabric tonight. But I had some cream sari ribbon, and I attempted to dye it with some pigments in cold water. But because I didn't even think of that idea until, like 40 minutes before I was going live, needless to say, that was a total fail. So I ended up doing, I just pulled some fabric, and I was really pleased that I had some extra from things. I use fabric and ribbon a lot for packaging and things like that. And so I found something that would work. And I like neutrals with texture a lot. And so I thought, okay, that was bad because I should have put it on here. But I'm going to see if I can push that down in place, and then I'll just do those little areas that I need to do. So anyway, I'm trying to stamp and talk at this and tell my woes at the same time. So we've all done that, right? We've all been looking for the thing, and then we think of how are we going to address that? What can we do to fix it? And sari ribbon actually does dye beautifully. And I had beautiful pigments. I'll show you those because I think we'll use them on this too. All right, we have one more. Yay! I'm so glad. I hope I'm not smearing that. I've got to be careful. All right. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And so I found some fabric. So that's what we're going to use. And I think it's going to turn out. There's always more than one way to do something, right? Excuse me. So let's do that. And we've got this last one, right? And then I'm going to measure this for the person that asked. And I will share that with you. These are actually left over from, we were supposed to do ATC tags last year, or ATC cards at the Recycled Retreat for retailers last year. And I didn't follow the rules. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm so sorry. And so I used these tags instead, and it was fine. It was just for us. It wasn't like I was in an ATC club where I had to follow the rules and was going to get in trouble if I didn't. So let me see what do I have to measure? All right, I've got a yardstick back here. All right, let's measure these real quick. This is like my big thing. Okay, so they are from the top to the bottom. This is a long yardstick, y'all. They are about 5. They're about 5 by 2 3/4, but you should make them any size you want, right? Because they're yours and you can do whatever you want with them. No problem. I am going to have to dry up this ink before we go on to the next step. And so just bear with me. Oh, Lord, it's almost 8. Okay. So we've been on for almost an hour. If Royce doesn't kick me off, then she would never do that. She would just say, hey, I don't even think she'd do that. She's always so gracious. And as long as there's nobody scheduled to come on after me, then I think we're good. So I'm just using this. This usually dries pretty quickly, but it does have a barrier. So the reason it's taking a little while longer to dry is because there's nothing porous underneath it, because we've sealed it with our 1 hour enamel clear coat. By the way, I need to put my lid back on that. Hold on 1 second, because that'll dry out and then I'll be very sad. So when you don't have a barrier, you can expect that, or you don't have a porous surface underneath, you can expect that anything like even an archival ink or a StazOn or something that dries really quickly, typically, it might take a little bit longer to dry. And so, oh, thank you, Marie. So I appreciate that. And so that's something good to know. And you'll be able to tell that it's wet by looking at it, because it's going to bead up in places. It should be fairly matte and uniform in color when your ink is dry. And when it's not, you're going to see some areas. And then I'll show you another little trick that you can do if I can. I don't think I have I think I've got a little t-shirt that I can share this on. So I'm just going to run my heat gun over this. This helps to dry it, and it also helps to set it just a little bit. And then here, I think I can go, I'll just lay this down. I think the tags turned out really pretty. I love the elements that we used. And thank you so much for your help in selecting the order that they go in, the arrangement. That's super helpful. I always love crafting with you and love it when you have suggestions and things to offer. It makes it much more fun. It feels like that you guys are in the room with me and we're crafting together, and that makes it so much more fun. All right, so we're going to do this. I think he's super. I love that owl, you guys. I just love him. I think he's fabulous. Okay. Here we go. And then I think I've got this one. And then I'll show you one more trick that you can do. Thank you so much, Shannon. I'm going to show you one more trick that you can do to get on to the next step. Because you can also, if you touch it with your finger, you're going to have some ink pop up. All right. The best way to do this is with a paper towel. I don't have, for some reason, the girl that has paper towels with her at all times does not tonight. So, but what I do have is some lint-free t-shirt rag. And so I'm just going to take a little piece of this and I'm going to tear that. Did I do it? I don't know. All right, let's just tear this. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and line a few up. You want to make sure that they're pretty dry at this point. Instead of, you don't want to do these, go ahead and let them dry, or do like I did. Doesn't matter what order they're in. But let's go ahead and we're going to lay a lint-free rag gently down. And then I don't want to move them too much. I just want to give it some pressure. Right? So I'm patting. I'm trying not to shift. Right? And then I'm going to lift that up. and you can see tiny, tiny, tiny little dots of ink where that was. And so it's picked it up. It's slightly, slightly sticky, but you can also just kind of go around it a little bit. You just want to be careful not to apply that wet ink anywhere else, but you can kind of pick up some of that. And then that allows us to go to the next step. And so what I'm going to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and go through the steps, and we'll probably put it together without all of the dimensional adhesive being done. We'll see how we're doing and if you guys can hang in there with me or not. But this is, let me see if I've got the bottle here. All right. This is what I'm using. I'm going to hold it this way so you can see it. So this is called Diamond Glaze, and it's by a company. The brand is Judikins, Judi, and then Kins. It's a dimensional adhesive. You can use it to adhere beads or something like that. But what I really love to use it for is to give a glass-like effect to things. And so I mentioned to you that I wanted to let these pop. And so I'm using a needle nose bottle. And you can just search on Amazon for needle nose bottle, needle tip bottle, squeeze bottle, something like that. And you're going to find these. I use these for a lot of different things. But what I really love is that it gives me control over where I'm applying it, except I squeezed a little bit too much out there. And I'm using that needle nose to outline my letters. Now, you can brush this on. You don't have to use a needle nose brush. And I'm going to try to hold it up gently without having this go all over the place. You may get a bubble. You can try to move the bubble out of the way. I don't let it bother me at all, unless there's too many of them or if it's too big. So it's going to look like this. It looks like it's changed the color of the ink, but I promise you it is not. All it's really done is it's going to lift as if we had embossed the stamped ink, and then it's going to it's just going to make it look like that letter is glass, and all of a sudden it's going to pop off the page and not be so flat. And so you're really going to notice that letter when it is embossed like this, or it has the diamond glaze on it, versus if we just laid it flat. And so that's why we're doing that. I'm going to show you that the other step that I want to do with these tags is I want to go ahead and ink the edges of them. I like to give them that little distress look. I want to make sure I'm using the same. So I'm going to use that same ground espresso, and I'm just going to get some ink on here. And I want to go ahead and ink the edges. I didn't do that on the one that we just did the lettering. So at this point, what I'm going to be able to do is show you the steps that we're going to take to finish these. And then I'll share the picture of the finished banner sometime tomorrow. But I'll show you all of the elements that we're going to use and how we're going to put this together. So I inked the edges, and I like that. So you can see that the difference. Just doing a little bit of inking just gives it even an extra little bit of detail as compared to this one that is just plain. And there's nothing wrong with plain. I just happen to like a little extra something and the little bit of extra aging. And I can go over it again, make it darker if I want. But yes, so, oh, great. They have those bottles at Hobby Lobby. Thank you, Molly. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink around these edges. It just adds a little more oomph to it. Okay, I'll just go ahead and do all of that real quick. So that's done. And then I won't have too much more, because I'm going to have to go back and do all of the lettering with the Judikins, with the diamond glaze for this. This also will disguise any of the areas where you've sanded your paper and it might look a little white on the edges by inking it, or you could use paint with this or a marker, anything that you want to do. Then you can disguise those as well. with that. And I just think it gives it a nice little aged effect here. And so we're going to just finish inking these edges like this. Okay. How are we doing, everybody? Which product are you asking about, Marie? I carry Wise Owl Paint Products, Ironworker Designs, and of course, I'm a recycled retailer, so I carry the papers and the stencils. But I don't carry the diamond glaze. The diamond glaze is, I bet you could probably find that at Hobby Lobby too. If you didn't want to shop on Amazon, you could find that there at Hobby Lobby. Judykins is a pretty widely available product. All right, I'm going to be super gentle with this one because I don't want that diamond glaze to shift. When it is applied thickly, you should know that it probably is going to need overnight to dry. And you really don't want to put any air on it while it's super wet because you could spread it. So you just have to be a little patient. This isn't too thick of an application, but it's pretty wet. So I'm going to set this one aside. The next thing that I want to do, I'm so glad that you like it, Kathy. Thank you. And Hobby Lobby. Yes, I would look at Hobby Lobby for I think it's the Judykins that you're asking about, the dimensional adhesive that we just used. And for that, I would look on Amazon and I would look at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I always buy mine from Amazon because I want the big size, and I haven't been able to find that size at Hobby Lobby, but Joanne sells it cheaper than Amazon. Great, Kathy. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. So Kathy's saving you money. I will tell you that I love the diamond glaze. I love it for the, I use it for ornaments, glass-like projects, all of those things. So I love that. So there again, that's that versus that. And so I love, love, love that. All right. So we've inked the edges, and the next thing that I would want to do is I am going to be using, I'm going to go ahead and punch the holes, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch 2 holes. I'm just using a hole puncher and the small one. And I'm going to try to be as even as I can, but I'm going to go about here. So I'm going to do 2 holes, one on this side and one on that side, because I'm going to be stringing this together. And then for this, what I want to do is I kind of want to line my tags up so that I get my holes in the right place. Do I have a marker? Do I have a marker? I've got a pencil. All right, let me get a little pencil. Okay. And so next what I'll do is line them up, and I'll go through that first hole. And that way I'm going to punch, I think, if this pencil worked. It worked pretty well. We'll try it. Did it work well? It didn't work great. So let me see if I've got a marker. Excuse me 1 second. I do. Okay. So I'm going to use a marker, just a fine tip marker. I want to get, this is where I might get a little footootsy. I want them to line up and not be wonky. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make my little marks, and then I'll punch them out really quick. And I just line it up by lining up my tags, because I've done the one tag and the tags are all the same size. So that's going to allow me to I can't do that one. I'll have to do that one after it dries, but it'll just make sure that I'm getting them all in place, right? And they're going to hang evenly. So I'll do that and that, line them up really quick. It makes it super easy. So if you just do the first one, you can use that top one as a template. I've got a little ink there, so I move that. And then it'll just make it a little bit easier to punch. So thank you, Jolene. And here we go. It'll just make it a little bit easier to punch. And it just makes it a little more efficient. I probably should have stuck with the word fall for tonight so that we would be done by now. That would be great. So Dorothy, welcome. And the materials are just, I made these tags out of some packaging, mail packaging that I received. So they're basically corrugated cardboard. And so now that I have those, it makes it super easy to line up as long as I can see through it. Super easy to line up. And I'm going to punch and punch and punch and punch. And then I'll show you the ribbon that we're going to use and the fabric. And then I think we'll have to wait until tomorrow for me to show you the finished project. If I do get up tomorrow and I say, oh, it needs a little something, something, and I do that, I'll be sure to share with you what that was. Okay. And so let's do these. This is the way it can be, rather than get out my ruler and try to measure, like down and all of that. Because as fatutsi as I am about this, that would I think that would push me over the edge. So I think just using doing the first one and then doing that will be great. Okay. So I'll show you the fabric and the ribbon that we're going to use and basically the general gist. Oh, I'm glad you think so. It just, Shannon, I don't think it was the best choice for a live project, but it's all good, right? We're doing fine. So I'm going to go here. Okay. I don't know why this is sticking now. I'm not sure. I'm having this is usually the easiest tool in the world to use, and it's a little sticky. I might have to get some WD-40 on it. I think I've had it for, I don't know, at least a decade. All right. So it might be a little tired. I don't blame it. So let's talk about how we're going to string these together and what we're going to use. So I had thought that I would use, first I was going to use some jute for this. And I still think that would be really pretty. And so, but what I want is for the jute to go in the back of the tag. So when I put these together, I'm going to start from the back and just thread my jute. So let's see, so I need the K. I'm going to do 3 just so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go on the front here, right? And I'll show you what we're going to do. Now, I had some ribbon some printed ribbon, and I thought that would be really pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and do them like this. I'm going to pull a little bit more out here. Okay, just like this. So we're going to do 3. I'm going to string them together. And oh, I'm so glad. I don't think it's quite dry enough, but maybe by the time we finish this, it'll be safe enough. I can't promise, but it'll be safe enough, Marie, for me to put a blow dryer to it. I just have to be super careful. I don't want to ruin it. But if not, you'll be able to see what the diamond glaze looks like when we do the when I share the finished project tomorrow. Okay. All right. I love the vintage images on this. They are so beautiful. All right. So I'm going to come up from the back, and it's just a preference. You can definitely go, I'm going from the back to the front. You can definitely go any way that you like. It's just my preference to do this. So I had this ribbon, and one of the things that I thought about, but now I don't want to because I'd be covering it up, is I thought about doing the top here or doing a little bit. I love this vintagey printed ribbon. And so I pulled that out. But then I also had this, oh, where is it? Is that one good? Okay. So I had this fabric left over from, remember, because my sari ribbon did not turn out the way I wanted it to. So I had this fabric and I've got a smaller bit of it. And I thought it would be, I love it with the colors and it's super fall, right? And so I thought I could do something like maybe a mix of them. Let's see what we like, and you guys can decide, and then I'll show you the finished project tomorrow. All right, I'm going to need one that's longer. So bear with me. So when you have a piece of fabric like this and it's long, all you really have to do, you know this, probably is I'm just going to make, I don't want them to be too wide. So I'm just going to do like about here. I'm going to just cut a little strip and then I'm just going to pull it. And as long as you go with the, I don't know what the word is for that, where it's going on the, what's the word for it when you're going, I guess it's like with the grain of fabric. Does anybody know what that word is? I can't remember. Maybe that's what it is going with the grain of fabric. So I'm not going to need this much, right? Because that's going to be way too long, but I'm going to double this and pull it through. So I'm going to go, let me think through this. I think I'm just going to want to tie it and loop it. So I'm going to go here and then we can cut a little bit off if we need to. Okay, I'll just do this. And so this is kind of what I'm thinking, okay, is that I would do it here. I want to fold it out so that the soft part, this is kind of like a, almost like, it's just a really soft, it's kind of like a flannel. And I'm just going to pull this through. So I'm coming under my string like this. The bias. Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate that. And the grain and the bias. Okay, great. Thank you. And so I'm going to pull this under my jute. And then I'm just going to slowly kind of pull. I'm going to hold this in place, right? And then I'll be able to put my tags in place. And I thought I would do something like this. I could make it thinner. I could make it shorter. I could do any of that, but let's do another one. And then you can see what you think, because the other ribbon that I thought of using, you can vote. Why don't we do one of each? And then you can decide which you like, because I'm in love with this printed burlap ribbon, but you can decide which you like. And so I'm going to do a little length here. And we'll cut that. And then I can always cut it shorter as well. But let me know if you prefer the printed ribbon or the fall flannel ribbon. So again, I've got my loop up on top facing towards me, and then I'm just going to pull this through. This ribbon, though, I will have to futz with a little bit because it is not printed on both sides, but that's not a problem. I can come a little closer, just like this. And so I have this ribbon. So I save all the scraps of this ribbon. And I would probably do more of the V here, but let's cut these a little bit and you guys can tell me, do you prefer the flannel ribbon or do you prefer the printed ribbon? Let me know. Okay, so all right, so you love the vintage ribbon because it doesn't take away from the tags. What does everybody think? So we've got that. I could stamp, I could stamp it. Yes, Shannon. I don't think I want to. But yes, I could. And I honestly, when I look at it, I don't think that the little break in your visual is bad. I could also do every other one. So I could do the flannel and then the printed ribbon and the other. And so I think that might be a nice compromise and just make it a wee bit thinner. Okay, so thank you, Lori. What do you guys think of doing an alternate so that it's not all the same going across? And the gold color sets it off. Okay. I do love the color of this. I'm in love with this ribbon. I use this a lot for things. So I'm going to play around with it. You guys have all given such great suggestions. I'm going to play around with it. And then I'm just going to show you, it's still just a little too wet. Let me do it this way so that you can see. It's still a little too wet for me to put a blow dryer on it, but I promise to share it with you tomorrow, and we'll do that. And so the alternate would be nice. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get the rest of my letters done. It'll be dry tomorrow when I get up, and then I can play with it and see. I could also do this a little bit thinner so that it's more like this width. I could do a little ragtag of the flannel up at the top of the bow. So many options, right? And we'll just see what we can do. So anyway, wow, okay, so this was a long one. I'm going to go ahead and come here. All right. So thank you so much for staying here. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Um, this went a lot longer than I thought it would, but it was so much fun. Thank you for your suggestions. I'm excited to share the final project with you tomorrow. Cheryl likes the ribbon. We've got flannels. We've got votes for both. So if you guys will just, you know, just extend me a little leeway, I will get my letters done and just play with them tomorrow, and we'll see what we do. But anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed the project and that you will be inspired to create something on your own. Thank you so much, Lori. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Marie. I just really so appreciate all of you. Very, very much. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me and create with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see, I guess, in a post. I'll post tomorrow and share the finished project. And anyway, I think this is going to be my new time for lives, assuming that it works out for Royce's page as well. So I've typically gone on at 4:30 in the afternoon, and we're getting to a point where we have a little bit more availability at the end of the day. And so I'm thinking 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is what I'm going to do. Let me know if that works for you. And you're so welcome, Doris. Thank you, Kathy. Everybody. All right, I'll stop now. Anyway, thanks again. Happy creating wherever you are. I hope you're well. And I will see you next week. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.